Hey guys, here I am back with Yoshi's abused cousin. So, I wanted to give you an update on what I've been doing with this bike so far. If you remember when I got this bike, let me show you some video real quick. It was completely black. It had that really cool Patrick Racing swing arm on it. That was also black. Everything was black. Had a chain drive. It had a really weird stock fender that someone had cut all up and everything. Just odd stuff had been done to this bike, but it ran, and that's why I picked it up. Plus, it was cheap. So since then, what I've done, I've taken that Patrick Racing swing arm off. I found out this whole bike had just been spray painted, like literally spray painted with, I think, a high temp paint. This bike, FYI, before I get into the updates on it, has been in 2 wrecks. This bike has been totaled twice. It has a salvage Kansas title on it. So everything I'm doing to this bike is going to be cheap, it's going to be easy, it's going to be, let's get this bike back running and on the road. And it's not going to look like $1,000,000, but it's going to be reliable and it's going to have power that you cannot imagine. So with that, let me give you a tour of what's been going on. So here's the Patrick Racing swing arm. Here I got the throttle bodies are apart and going through those because they've been spray painted. The bad ECU that got blown up, we found out, is a Speedstar ECU, which sucks. Here you can see some of the stuff that's been stripped from the spray paint. You can see down here, it was originally spray painted red. And anyways, so I've got all that, stripping that. The back end is basically back to stock. This side over here, again, you can see some of the paint there on the valve cover. Still, I haven't got all of it off. Over here on this side, he stripped this stuff and cleaned it up. This here has been all, the original one was all cut up. Someone sent me this one. I got the cover that goes on there. I do think when the big bore kit was put in this bike, it would appear like they had the jugs shined up and polished too. I'm not going to go far enough to get those back to polish because it looks like they used a high temp spray paint and it is baked on these jugs. I cannot hardly, I mean, it chips every once in a while, but in general it's not coming off. This stuff down here and the valve covers, the other side, it more or less wiped off, but the jugs are not wiping off. So I'm probably not doing much with that. Starter, I don't know if you can see, the starter was spray painted at some point too. Everything, they just basically took a can and spray painted the whole mess. You can see the tag there, the sticker with spray paint overspray on it. So one of the big questions I get on this bike is, what am I going to do with it? Why am I putting it back together? What's the goal here? And the short answer to that is this bike, like I said, has been totaled twice. This bike is really not worth much money. In general, these bikes, even with a clean title, are not worth much money. With a salvage title, it's worth even less. My goal for this bike is I'm going to take that Patrick Racing swing arm and most likely sell it. I'm not a racer. It doesn't do me any good. Let's get it back out on the road or on the track and someone enjoy it. This bike, what I'm doing with it is my goal is to get the suspension back to stock setup. The engine, of course, I'm not going to touch. It runs, it works, it's fine. But it's going to become a community bike. When I was in Europe the last 8 years, I made it to a few Warrior meetings, European Warrior meetings. I met tons of people that are Warrior enthusiasts over there, and all of them had a complaint that they wanted to come to the States, they wanted to ride around the States, but they wanted to do it on a Warrior, and of course you can't rent a Warrior because they're not even made anymore. Why is anyone going to rent one? So I want this bike back out on the road where it deserves, where it belongs, where it wants to be. But I don't have time to ride it too. I still have Yoshi. He's over in my other garage, so I can't put miles on everything, but I'm going to put it up for rent. And when I say rent, we'll work on the details later. I don't want to make money on this deal. I want people to enjoy it. enjoy the States, enjoy the scenery we have here, have a little bit of extra money to get a beer somewhere. So I haven't figured out the exact details yet, but throw in a little bit of money so we can pay for some tires and oil change on this thing occasionally, and pay the insurance while you're riding it is what I'm thinking. We'll kind of talk on a case-by-case basis, but yeah, hopefully next summer you're going to be getting pictures of somebody else besides me riding this bike, seeing some sights, enjoying life, and hopefully coming away with good impressions of America and our biker culture here and the warrior culture in general and the warrior community. So that is the goal and the plan with this bike.